I am gonna introduce Munich. Munich is joining our friend from Munich. He is a very experienced OKR coach, and he has implemented OKR projects many times. So, Munich, the stage is yours. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Now I'm on air. I see on air. I hope the sound is okay. Hello from Munich, Germany. And it is indeed a pleasure to be part of this first OKR forum, Turkey. It's amazing. Let me tell you a little bit about us, about myself first. So we are howtookr.com. We are specialized on this OKR thing now for 8 years, which is really long. We are indeed a super small boutique because we concentrate on top management layers. It's me, it's Magdalena, based in Miami, Florida. She has worked at Google for 9 years, working hands-on with OKRs. She's also a practitioner of OKRs, same as myself. My background is also sales and marketing. I used to work with teams a lot, building teams, growing brands and companies. And I became big fan of OKRs in the pretty early days. And I'm still am fan of OKRs, now helping companies and teams to get up to speed with it. We have worked for loads of different clients in the last 8 years. Very small, early stage startups, very big enterprises, a wild mix of team structures, business segments, industries. And that is the interesting part of my job, to be honest, to learn how other companies work. And biggest takeaway is from that journey over the last 8 years, every company is so different. Every team culture is so different. And I want you to take OKRs, to understand OKRs as an open framework. It has to fit to you guys, to your style, to your culture. And you can't just basically copy paste what's written in the books. The books are great, but it has to fit to your style, to your culture. The thing we are talking about today is Cascade or Innovate. And this is something we tend to see very often. I want to get into the story by telling you what I mean, what problem I want to assess with you now, inspiring you not to do the same mistake or get out of this, how to get out of this mistake if you're in there already. And the problem is the following. The CEO of a company is a big fan of his dashboard of KPIs, of his budget. That's the way he used to work, or they used to work within their management team for years. And then this new thing called OKR comes up, right? And he thinks, okay, great. I've read a couple of books, and it's about setting targets, setting measurable key results. So objective is definitely next quarter reach budget. 3 key results with 3 million gross profit, 22 million revenue, and launching the new product according to the roadmap. These are great company OKRs. And then he tells the teams, the departments, okay, guys, these are the company OKRs. use my key results and make them your objectives. And the team think, well, okay, but it doesn't feel very different from the times before OKRs. And they think, okay, well, strange, but let's just follow it and let's just do it. And okay, for example, sales OKRs look like this. Objective is, he told us to copy basically the key result. So our take in there is making 22 million revenue, 3 million gross profit. And we just break it down basically. But it feels strange because these are numbers, we know already these numbers. And then similar breakdowns are being done to sub-teams or sometimes even to individuals. This picture is unfortunately pretty common out there. It's not good, and I want to dive into it because as a consequence, as you might imagine, this process is super slow. Let's go back. Within sub-teams or teams, nothing will be happening unless the leadership team comes up with OKRs. Everybody sits there waiting for anything coming down. So it's super slow. It's uninspiring because basically you will be told to copy something more or less, not using your brain power or the team's brain power. The more you go down, you pile up OKRs like crazy. So the amount of OKRs is increasing the more you go down in a company. And it's actually a pure top-down approach. No, not good. And it's also an innovation killer in the sense that you hired people, you hired very skilled people where you think these guys are best to do this or that job. So if you tell people what to do next, they are not using their brain power. And probably they're also unhappy very soon. And that's actually the power of OKRs, to use people's brain power. You spend tons of money to find really good people. So use their brain power. And this is the innovation killer we don't want to see when using OKRs. And the tricky thing is, OKR tools are great, are super, super helpful for transparency reasons, but also to align things and to visualize how OKRs are connected across the company. But in terms of cascading OKRs, the problem of cascading OKRs, it's a bit of a trap as well, because you have these kind of map views of OKRs. There are two examples of different tools. And this is almost an invitation for many managers to try to connect everything with everything. And that's actually not the purpose of this functionality. The purpose of this functionality is more to visualize who is working on what and where do we stand. And this is why I would say that's a bit of a trap for some people to misunderstand such a great visualizing functionality within tools. So going back to the problem, double-clicking into it, why do we have these kind of issues out there applying OKRs? I think, number one, it's a thing around mindset and missing trust, and also missing empowerment towards people. It's obviously missing know-how around what are KPIs, what are OKRs, what is BAU, meaning business as usual, and how do our initiatives and tasks play into that. And the third reason, in my opinion, is unclarity around vision, strategy, and yearly priorities. So the long-term view is blurry, probably. And let's dive a little bit more into a definition. So it's mainly about two directions. One direction is the so-called vertical alignment, meaning contributions towards strategy. We are a team. If we know the direction, we can make our we can spin our heads around how can we contribute towards it vertically. The other thing is the horizontal direction. We are a growing company. We have multiple teams and departments, and things become more and more connected. And here is where OKRs help a lot, because we build OKRs based on the same cadence. Cadence is everything. And this is what we mean with horizontal alignment. So clear out cross-functional dependencies which are relevant. And trust me, people love to align by nature if they know the direction. We don't have to tell them to cascade things, to copy things down. They love to align, to be aligned, to feel aligned within their contributions if they know the direction. And I would even say that the horizontal alignment is such a strong feature of OKRs, and it's a bit forgotten by many companies out there. So my recommendation is put extra effort in here, because there is a lot of benefit you can pull out. Double clicking into it a little bit more and talking about the thing on top. So people will align if they know their direction. Imagine we are looking on your company, and there is, on a company level, there is a strong vision and mission. Ideally, I just wrote something here. We want to eliminate cancer in this world. There are leadership qualities, you might call it values. There are ideally yearly priorities, so strategic themes which you want to concentrate on from a company perspective. And these strategic themes are connected, certainly, to metric type key results or numbers, or sometimes long-term KPIs you're monitoring. You're monitoring where you are in terms of this strategic directions. And then you might build quarterly company OKRs. You might just call out quarterly priorities to the rest of the organization. This is top level view, more long-term, big picture. Ideally, the yearly priorities are also built in a measurable way, because we want to measure where we are, how we do. And then the team level, and now I'm wearing the OKR hat. Basically, we are building quarterly OKRs throughout marketing, product, finance, blah, blah, blah, you name it. Maybe we also have a subset of KPIs relevant for our team, for our department. We are monitoring. This is the monitoring part. Budget is also here to plan and to monitor. Most KPIs are here to monitor. We look at it. We see where we are. We see how we do. And the quarterly OKRs basically contribute to something on top here. And then I'm, as an individual, I'm part of a team. Let's say I'm part of a marketing team. I'm handling my initiatives, my to-dos, my sprints if I work with Scrum. And this is basically, by the way, you might ask yourself what's my standpoint towards individual OKRs. I'm not a big fan. So for me, OKRs are a team thing, clearly. So this is why you see here on the screen, on individual level, it's more around handling initiatives to do, which are contributing to something on a team level. And this big picture here, that's the thing around purpose of what you do as an individual. And that's the strong part of OKR. So if I have enough visibility as an individual, I can understand, okay, I have these things on my to-do list, and now I can judge by myself that these 5 things are probably more relevant than the rest because they contribute towards our marketing OKRs for the quarter. And the marketing OKRs for the quarter make total sense because they contribute into going digital as part of our yearly priorities for the company, right? So, and this is how things come in connected and make sense suddenly, and that's the strong part of OKR. So, me as an individual, I love to align if I know the direction, and this is where most companies have a big lack out there because employees simply don't have a real clue on where we are and where we tend to go. Let's double click more into this OKR part now. So let's look into these quarterly OKRs of teams and of the company. What should be in there then? And ideally, it's all about change. It's about improvement. It's about things which are strategy relevant. It's about a few things only. Don't lose focus with OKRs. And that requires a lot of discipline and rules. So not because I'm German, because it makes most sense in relation to OKRs that maybe you call out a rule that within your company, you just want to have 3 O's and 3 key results each for everybody. Limit yourself. It helps a lot. I don't want to see teams who come up with 5 things and other teams who focus on 3 things. So limit yourself. Less is more. That will make a big difference. And as we say, OKRs are about change and improvement and not about business as usual related stuff. I don't want to see the red part in OKRs, meaning whenever you spot something like words like keeping something, remaining something, maintaining status quo, doing something as planned, this is basically copy pasting a KPI, or it's pure BAU. It's things you do anyway. It's your business as usual. If I'm part of the HR team, hiring people is BAU. That's part of my business as usual. It's not part of my OKRs. The way we hire people is bringing in a big difference. That might be OKR relevant. Decreasing time to hire is OKR relevant, but hiring people is not OKR relevant when I'm part of HR. That's our job. That's why we are here for. The green part should be part of OKR. So things creating an impact, things who should be different to compared to today. Stopping or changing things which suck. We tend to do things all the time again and again because we always did it. But actually, it makes us slow and people get bored and it simply sucks. So let's change it. That's improvement also. Things making us better in the way we are handling business as usual. And very often we hear then, okay, but I'm working in finance. Or we hear, we are working in one of these very boring teams, finance. I don't think it's too boring, but the challenge for teams like departments like finance is that their amount of BAU is huge. Let's say it's 98% of what they do is business as usual. So what should they write into their OKRs then? And I say, well, think about your capacity for change, your capacity to drive innovation and improvement in your area. It's probably super small. So why not just taking on board one objective and one or two key results? That's it. Keep it very simple. Keep it very focused on driving change. Because if we only concentrate on BAU, we won't become any better. Yeah? So we might be super successful today, but the world around us is turning so fast that probably if we keep on doing our BAU stuff day in, day out, we won't be successful in a year from now already. Yeah? So that should be in there. And let's summarize a little bit how we can get around of this cascading approach and the consequences of it. So first of all, don't even try to connect everything. It's impossible. The only exception is if you are a super early stage startup with 5 or maximum 10 people on board. Then you are still able to cascade things down to employee number 10. But trust me, if you are 20, 30, 50 people, forget about it. And it doesn't make sense because we want to use people's brain power. Use your energy instead to explain constantly vision, strategy, priorities. This is where we are. This is where we would like to be. And this is not done with a single all hands meeting. This requires constant work all the time, again and again and again, and every quarter, basically. Use your energy trying to spot unaligned stuff. And it says here unaligned OKRs. I could add unaligned OKRs and initiatives. The whole OKR exercise should help you to spot these things. And when you spot them, you should question them and think, okay, why do we spend time and money on that one? So that's the easy exercise. So instead of trying to connect everything, try to find unaligned stuff. Question it, kick it out. Say no, and we should not spend time doing this. Again, my message, we talk a lot about alignment and not to cascade. So that's all the vertical direction. Think about the horizontal direction. It's one of the biggest pain points in most growing organizations, cross-functional alignment. OKRs are doing a great job in there. If you follow up proactively horizontal alignment. So who needs support from which team regarding Q3 OKRs? And the great thing is about we are having the same cadence, meaning between probably mid-June to end of June, we know that every team is right now thinking and drafting their Q3 OKRs. It's 2 weeks. It's a perfect time frame to knock on each other's door and check how are things aligned. Should we deliver something to make things happen on your side? Yeah. The simplest thing is to remind yourself that at an ultimate stage of OKR, of how the way you do OKRs, you should come to a kind of parallel drafting of OKRs. Meaning, if I'm running a marketing team, I should not necessarily need to wait for my CEO to come up with company OKRs, because I know where we are. I know where we left last quarter. I know what should be definitely key for next quarter out of our marketing perspective. So we are able to draft OKRs in parallel. That's next level. And you should always remind yourself to get there. A trick would be to provide from a C-level perspective, to provide only a couple of quarterly focus areas, maybe just 3 to 5 bullet points where we should be concentrating on in Q3 from a company perspective. And that's all of the input to the rest of the teams. And then everybody should be drafting in parallel. And another trick would be, and that's especially applicable for teams like finance, for example, again, to pick them again, to ask teams to just fill one KR or one objective around team internal improvement. So think about how you do things internally, think about how you serve customers, clients. What can we do differently or better? And that's perfect for OKRs, because usually it just gets lost in the daily chaos. This is basically, these are my main messages I want to share with you. And I hope probably from the audience, the know-how levels are quite diverse. You know, some of you might be total beginners. So then for you, it's good to know which trap you should avoid. The others are already into it, probably. If you find yourself in there, hopefully I gave you some inspiration on how to get out. Yeah. And the others who are about to start, again, avoid that trap. Hopefully we have still a bit time on talking about your problems, your ideas. I want to share with you 2 things I want to offer you. We are running 2 things. We are running a special program to become an internal OKR champion, master, you call it. And that's a 3-month learning program combined with 12 monthly master class group coachings. We are able to give you a 30% discount here. And the other thing is, we receive a lot of questions around how can we make the way we pay people, we do performance management, how can we make it compatible with OKRs? And this class down here gives you a super good inspiration on how to do it. And then usually, I mean, we are not the experts there. This is inspiration. This is giving you a recipe how it works. But then very often companies need real help. And I would say that guys like Talent Melon are perfect to really bring it into action then. I just want to share it again because this is also one of the main pitfalls out there, that you bringing in a lot of energy to start with OKRs, and then things like performance management, paying bonuses is actually crashing the whole effort. And make sure you solve that, because it will give a lot more freedom to, or it will increase the chance massively to make OKRs a success. Having said that, we have about 10 minutes left, or 5 minutes left. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Let's get into a kind of Q&A session. That would be brilliant.
Thank you very much, Hannes. It was very insightful speech, and I really like the part where you have mentioned about OKRs are about change. It's not about business as usual. So it was my most important takeaway from your talk. I I have a question from our guests. Iran asked that question. The question is, have you been doing OKRs for a long time? I can answer on behalf of you. Yes. Is it still popular in Europe or it is in decline? The question.
It is still picking up, I would say. So I told you I'm doing this for 8 years now, and in the first 2 or 3 years, it was purely something around digital startups, early stage startups, and then the more mature, bigger companies, enterprises came on board. And I would say even now with COVID, since beginning of last year, it picked up again, because it is indeed helping teams to collaborate better if they don't sit in the same location. It definitely does help to provide clarity.
Sorry.
No problem. So I would say it's still picking up, but the sizes of companies become bigger and bigger.
Yeah. So another question I have, you mentioned about the, with the pandemic, the kind of increase in demand. I saw the same trend in Turkey, but I would love to hear, what's your perspective about the reason of that? Why the pandemic accelerated the implementation of OKRs or request the implementation of OKRs?
I think it's also a leadership and a cultural thing, because when you think back beginning of last year, and you imagine you are a type of manager who loves micromanagement, who loves to tell your people what to do next, who is very task driven. And then imagine that your team suddenly is not there anymore. They are sitting somewhere at home. It's a catastrophe for you, because you are completely you are not in control anymore of all the to-dos, of all the tasks. It's super hard for you to tell people what to do next. So for these guys, it was a nightmare, which is great, which is super, because something hopefully was changing in their brain and in their head by understanding, okay, maybe it's different to trust my people a little bit more because I hired them. I think that's the main reason why it picked up.
Yeah, it's great. You just mentioned about building the trust-based relationship. If you already define, where you are gonna go and how to reach that destination together, then it is more easier to build this trust-based relationship in the organization.
Yep.
I really like the way you think. So we have more questions. I'm gonna pick one of them. I'm gonna be selective. Okay, it's about cascading, and some says do not cascade. Some says it should be cascaded. If you had a chance to change one thing, okay, it is asking a question about what do you think about cascading. I think you already replied this in your
clearly no.
Yeah, no cascading, clearly no cascading. And another question is, if you had a chance to change one thing in OKR methodology, what would it be?
I think very often we tend to overcomplicate OKRs.
Yes.
Yeah, it's overcomplicate in the sense of the way we write objectives, the way we write OKRs, and especially when you start with OKRs, there is a saying, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. right? So I rather tell teams, okay, guys, let's stay pragmatic. Let's use what we have. Let's go into the first quarter. Let's learn from what we have. And maybe we have written down key results, which are obviously not perfect, but it's better that the team finds out by themselves instead of using another workshop day and another workshop day and another workshop day. And then the team is totally fed up with OKRs and they think we spent 3 days in a room and talking about a bloody sentence. So stay pragmatic, just kick it off, give it a try, see how it works, and then use time to reflect on learnings. That's what I would change.
Yeah. Okay. We have lots of questions, but we have just 3 minutes left. So I will be very picky. I really wonder the answer of that question. You have been implementing this OKR for many years. So what is there anything you would done differently? What is there anything you have changed in your way of implementing OKRs?
Okay. To be honest, we probably because we are a small boutique, it's not so much about standardizing the implementation process, because I said in the beginning, the biggest learning is that really every company works differently. And I couldn't call out a rule to say everybody needs yearly OKRs on company level. No. Maybe a company has such strong and good strategic themes for the year 2021 that it's totally sufficient for teams to build really good OKRs. And when the issue in another company is more about cross-functional alignment because they grew like crazy, I want to spend more focus on that aspect. So really, this is something we have changed massively, and this is probably why we have more this boutique approach. This whole framework is open source. It has to fit to you, and there is no clear guideline which fits to everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hannes. Actually, we have a few more questions, but we are end of the time. We are at the end of the time. So is there any single message you would like to deliver right now, lastly?
I'm saying it again, stay pragmatic with OKRs, don't overcomplicate it, and just give it a try.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Hannes. Take care of yourself. Thank you for offering that discount for your wonderful coaching program. So we will be sharing the details with our participants later.
Super.
Take care of yourself.
It was a pleasure. Same to you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Bye. Hannes'e çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Hakikaten çok da güzel sorular var aşağıda ama az önce bahsettiğim gibi biz bu soruları toplayacağız. Gün sonunda ya da gün sonundaki Clubhouse etkinliğinde mutlaka sizlerle yanıtlarını paylaşmaya çalışacağız. Ama lütfen soru sormaya devam edin. İngilizce olan etkinliklerde ana mesajları biz ekip olarak chat tarafında Türkçe'ye çevireceğiz ama yalnızca 2 tane İngilizce konuşma kaldı günün geri kalanında. Şimdi çok heyecanla sizlere sunacağım bir isim var. Cansel Sörgens. Cansel benim kendisini aslında OKR okumaları yaparken LinkedIn'den bulduğum bir isim oldu ve iletişime geçtim kendisiyle. Aslında çok uzun zamandır yurt dışında yaşıyor kendisi, Almanya'da. Bir agile koçu. Kendisi aslında işin arka mutfağından, yani business'tan gelen birisi olduğu için bu yani zamanında kendi çalıştığı şirkette bir OKR projesi yaptığında OKR'ın kültürleri ve insanların mutluluğunu nasıl değiştirdiğini görüp hakikaten bu alana odaklanmaya başlamış bir isim. Can, seni sahneye alalım.